Hello and welcome back to another episode of Charla Football. I am your host, as always, Gerardo, and we got a lot to talk about. We got Premier League, La Liga, Liga MX, and then of course I'm gonna throw in a little bit of the Derby de la Madonnina because honestly that was my favorite game of the weekend. But before we get into everything, make sure you guys follow, subscribe, make sure you check out all the links down below in the description. Tomas, thank you for hopping on. We got a lot of football to talk about every weekend. It's like a celebration, bro. It's goals galore. There's a lot of stuff going on. But firstly, how you doing, bro? I know it's kind of later. It's a little later in the day, but we gotta get this content going, bro. It just doesn't stop. The grind doesn't stop.
Yeah, bro, I mean, I'm doing good. So let's just get right into it because we got a lot to talk about.
Literally, bro. Honestly, like, where do you want to start? I mean, Premier League for sure. We have to start there. Biggest league. I say we start with West Ham versus Chelsea.
Yeah, we always gotta do the small clubs first.
Well, Chelsea are honestly flying, bro. They're flying right now. Your predictions are so far they're coming alive. I had West Ham a little higher up in my predictions. You had Chelsea a little higher up in your prediction, and they just completely tore West Ham a new one, bro. Like
Yeah,
poor
it's just
display of football from West Ham's perspective.
it's just from my perspective. The reason that I put Chelsea above West Ham was because I feel like Chelsea has more pressure than West Ham. Like between those two small clubs, I feel like Chelsea has the most pressure to do something about it since they're spending like 300 million in the transfer window. And I mean West Ham. I mean, what can I say about them? This
They
match
were very
was
poor. They were so poor, bro. They started was that's their second loss at home, right? Because they lost to Villa as well in the first game, and then getting smacked up 3-0 to Chelsea. I mean, I think it was from the third minute, Nicholas Jackson scored. I think it was already 2-0 by the time it was like the 20th, 30th minute. Um, and they made Nico Jackson look good. I know he's been pretty inconsistent since last season, but I think he finally found his shooting boots. He hit his little thriller celebration after he scored both goals. He had 2 goals and an assist in this game. So, I mean, he's looking like maybe he could put up better numbers than last season. I think he had about like 14 goals last season. So maybe if he can start firing more consistently for Chelsea, they can put up, a better run than last season because last season they finished in what, sixth place.
yeah, I
So
think it was sixth. The
yeah,
thing
so
is, with Nico Jackson is that he's good. He's a decent player.
he's really good. He's been
Just,
solid so far.
just inconsistent. At least last season he was. We'll see. We'll see how it goes for this season. Maybe he's a little bit more locked in. But other than that, I think he's talented. I think he has the talent to do it. Just needs the consistency in that.
Yeah, and so far it looks like he's found that. So he's got to keep it up. Cole Palmer, honestly, he's picking up where he's left off. His finish was top class, and I mean, other than that, I mean, by the time it was the 46th minute, it was already 3-0. West Ham really had nothing else to offer. Julian Lopetegui, he's been questioned a lot. I remember I saw a clip of David Moyes. I think it was after their last match. I don't remember exactly what match, but David Moyes even came out saying that they're just playing very poor football. Do you think that Julian Lopetegui will be one of the managers to get cut by December? Will he even make it to December?
If it continues on this path, I couldn't blame West Ham for doing so
Because they
because
spent a lot of money on this transfer market. They
that's what
spent a
I'm,
good chunk of money.
that's what I'm saying. Because not because West Ham is that it's a historic club in terms that it's always been fighting, sixth, fifth, fourth places. But this is the first time I've seen, at least in my lifetime, West Ham really spend a bag on players, and creative development and try to build something off of what they previously built from the season prior. And I think that creates pressure. Maybe not as much pressure as Chelsea because they didn't spend, 300 to 400 million to transfer windows, but they still spent a hefty bag. I don't have the exact number, but I know they're expecting way better results with what they've invested.
Yeah, and I mean the results that they've put in so far definitely something questionable. Looking forward toward mid season, so I guess we'll see if he even makes it to December time because it's around that time we start to see managers starting to like get let go of.
Yeah,
And if it continues like that for West Ham, bro, I honestly don't think he'll make it.
yeah. I mean, honestly, if you look at this performance, there's a lot of fundamentals which West Ham wasn't utilizing. Because if you remember last season, it was so difficult to score on that West Ham team.
Hmm.
I mean, it was so difficult. There's teams that, I mean, Edson Alvarez was really the whole person that every club was trying to play around, avoid Edson Alvarez at all costs, not try to go through him. And I mean, coming off that injury, I'm not saying that obviously coming back off an injury is going to be difficult, but West Ham just doesn't look that solid, like any other aspect defensively. The left backs and the right backs look poor. The and I'm not blaming it at all on defense, but just defending overall as a unit has fallen, and
Yeah,
I think that's very basic to what was West Ham last season.
compared to last season under David Moyes, they definitely let themselves go a little bit. Maybe they're trying to focus a little bit too much on attack, but forgetting about those fundamentals defensively because they got played out through the middle a lot, especially. There was that one ball from Caicedo that just like broke the whole midfield, the defensive line into Nico Jackson's second goal. He was basically one on one with the keeper with one pass. So a lot of things that they have to highlight. If not, Lopetegui probably will be out by December. Liverpool, on the other hand, they even though they came from a loss last weekend against Nottingham, today was kind of different. Was quite different actually against a Bournemouth team who are somewhat inconsistent. They got that win against Everton, then they lost last. I believe they lost or they drew last game. I don't exactly remember against who, but right now Luis Diaz, he's on fire, bro. He's the best left winger in the Premier League, I would say at this moment, unless you can contest me somebody else, throw somebody else in there. But right now, I would say he's probably the most informed winger in these past like five games. I think that we have.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd have to agree. There's not really any person that I'd see in form. I can tell you players who are really good, but it's just a different play style. Like Savinho, obviously, he's really decent for City, but it's just I think they're quite different in a few aspects.
I think
But like
what I think.
going,
Oh, go
well,
for it.
go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I think what Luis Diaz definitely improved on was his clinicality up front
Yeah,
because a lot of times last season he was in the same positions that he's in so far this season and he scuffed them a lot of scuffed opportunities or it just wasn't finding the net and so far what we got this season he has found the net. He has 5 goals, 1 assist, 5 games played. So under Arne Slot he's proven to be pretty clinical so far. So obviously he has to keep it up for the rest of the season, but I mean just a testament to that consistency and to that firepower right now that he's showing was that first goal, that first ball. It was like a 60-yard pass from Konate out the back, and then he can all in 3 touches. He controls it with his knee, gets around the keeper, and then he has an open net to finish. And I mean that's the kind of lethalness you want from your forwards up top.
yeah, and I mean, I've always said the secret to having your best front line is a front line that creates a lot and is able to finish. And I mean, Luis Diaz, like you said, last season was able to create these opportunities for himself where he puts himself in perfect situations, but wasn't able to finish it.
Yeah,
And I mean, the only difference is now that I mean, maybe I mean, I wouldn't be able to say maybe it's the forwards coach has taught him a different form of clinicality. Maybe Arne Slot brought in a different type of trainer for finishing. I don't know what it is. Maybe he himself has taught him a few tips. But I mean, it was really simple. It was a simple fix. Finishing, look for a corner, pick a corner, and just pass it into the net.
yeah. I
And
think
that's what he's been able to do.
I think what's helped him a lot was the summer, Colombia's run in the Copa America, and then just a lot of maturing in that sense. I mean, an international run like that, going to a Copa America final, I'm sure it can uplift the player, in many different ways. And I mean, like any normal player, you're gonna need some time to adapt. And I think he finally found a little bit of time to adapt. Maybe he's done a lot more work outside of training. Maybe it might be psychological or maybe with the language trainer or someone to help him with translating and with English as well. I mean, there's so many different things that we don't really look at that I mean could definitely play a part in his improvement this season. Another player that I wanted to highlight was Trent Alexander-Arnold because he did get an assist on the day, and he registered his 100th goal contribution as a Liverpool player. And I know there's a lot of talk between Trent Alexander-Arnold and Reece James, and I saw a stat which was honestly quite crazy to hear. It was kind of like a meme, but also, I mean, it's the truth. He has so far he's registered his 100th goal or assist. He has 19 goals and 81 assists at 25 years old as a right back. Reece James, who is like contending as one of the best right backs, he only has 108 appearances, so he has about the same amount of appearances as Trent Alexander has as goals and assists. So I just thought it was a crazy stat here because, I mean, that kind of wraps up the whole debate on who's the better right back, in my opinion. Because, I mean, there's no way Reece James is going to catch up to those numbers.
The thing with that I think is that Trent Alexander is not the best at defending. I think
Yeah.
Reece James is a better defender.
Well,
you look-
I mean, if he can get on the field first.
I mean, yeah, but how would I say? Maybe not this season so far, but in the past seasons, on their overall career, I'd say Reece James was maybe a slightly better defender than Trent Alexander-Arnold, which is not saying a lot, to be honest. I'm not saying Reece James is this right back that's like known for his defensive ability. No, he's just better than Trent, which is because Trent is very poor defensively. But what helps me at Liverpool is if you have the ball, you don't need to be the best defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And that hurts him for England because, I mean, well, under the past manager Southgate, there was a few matches where they played it safe, played it defensively, and obviously that doesn't play into the favor of Trent, who likes having the ball. So, I mean, it's just how you see it. I think he's better than Reece James. I'm not going to argue that. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to argue that. I don't think anybody could really argue that right now. It's just that defensive ability, but he's world class. He's world class. Other than that, he's world class.
He is world class, and he came out saying that he wants to win trophies. He wants to win more trophies. So right now, it's very difficult for Liverpool to win anything. I mean, maybe besides Champions League or like the smaller cups, but realistically, it's probably going to be City this year, and it's going to continue to be City. But we'll see. So in that case, if you're Trent Alexander-Arnold, I mean, there's a lot of talks about him moving to Madrid. I mean, I think his contract runs out this year or next summer, and he hasn't renewed. So, and I know he came out saying that he wants to win trophies, and he will be a Liverpool player this season, like minimum. That's exactly what he said. Minimum, he will be a Liverpool player this season. So, I mean, there's that possibility that by the end of next season, Papa Perez he makes that call and he's gonna be gone on a free. So, would you like to see Trent make that move to right back at Madrid? Because Carvajal, he's not getting any younger. He's gonna turn 33. I mean, he can still give you at least a solid like year or two, but I mean, within the next year or two, he's gonna start declining, steadily declining.
Yeah, I'd say it'd be a solid move for him.
Mm-hmm.
My only worry is that the locker room, because I mean, so many world class players, everybody has an ego, and we seen the results of that last time that happened. And not only is Trent won't be the only world class wingback going in, because probably Fonzie's going as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just how it shapes up. If they can all put their ego aside, but just, I mean, it's crazy to even think about this, but that'd probably be like one of the best teams of all time if you get those two wingbacks, the defense that they have, the offense that they have, and the goalie. I mean, Courtois a beast right now, and I mean, there's not really much to say. That'd be a crazy move. That'd be one of that move like the whole, how would I say, like the whole, just the market. That'd be like all over the place everywhere.
Yeah. So maybe Trent can make that move. Should he make that move? That's a different question, but I don't know. Now moving to a game where Villa faced Wolves, they won 3-1, and they're showing quite a good amount of consistency besides that loss against Arsenal. I think it was like in the second week. But I think we're low key sleeping on this Villa team, bro. Because I mean, I don't remember if we had them in our top predictions, but they're sitting third. They're sitting pretty right now with Arsenal on points. The only game that they lost was that game against Arsenal 2-0. Wolves did go up early in the beginning of the match, and it took Aston Villa quite some time to find their feet in this match. It wasn't until the last 15 minutes where they really replied with some firepower. And it was John Duran who got on the score sheet, Ollie Watkins, and then Konza. They flipped the score line. And I mean, overall, I mean, dude, I mean, what is there to say? All these players are performing consistently. They're all performing well under who's the coach right now at Aston Villa? I just am blanking out right now.
Is it Unai? Is it still Unai Emery?
Unai Emery. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So they're performing exceptionally well. They did get that win over in midweek against Young Boys 3-0 as well. And I mean, one of my favorite players, and we've already kind of highlighted it on the podcast, is John Duran. I mean, just hopping off of the bench and just able to score, 20 years old. I mean, he's already bagged his 4th goal this season. I mean, it's just crazy to see. But they have a lot of influential players besides John Duran coming off of the bench. Morgan Rogers, a Man City Academy graduate, registered 2 assists in this match, and he's been instrumental in Villa's hot start as well. Onana as well in the middle of the park. He transferred from Everton, and he's gotten like 2 or 3 goals this season so far. So overall, all these little players, they're performing their role to a T, pretty much, and that's kind of what you need from a team. You know, besides individual players, really standing out. I mean, overall, as a collective, you gotta be able to play well and mix well together.
Yeah,
and I think they're doing well.
Yeah, and another important factor is that, I mean, out of the 3 players that you just highlighted, the oldest one I think what's the second one that you named? I think he's like 27. I forgot his name.
Onana?
No, Onana's 24. The one prior to that one.
Morgan Rogers?
After that. Yeah, Rogers. I mean, he's 27, so he still has like 4 or 5 solid seasons in his prime. And then John Duran, I mean, he's 20 years old, bro. Yeah. Onana's 24. Like, this is
off the jersey real quick, the Colombia jersey for Duran.
For Duran, huh?
Yeah.
But, this is I'm not Colombian or Mexican. I get asked that when I wear their jersey.
Oh, but, yeah, a Mexico jersey in the back right there.
Oh yeah, my fault. But I lost my train of thought. But but Duran, I mean, bro, 20 years old, performing like this, 4 goals in what is it, 7 games? 5 games?
Yeah. All off the bench too.
All off the bench, bro.
They're all bangers, bro. You're like, I mean, besides maybe this one was a little easier for him. I mean, it's a striker's finish. He's right in front of the box, empty net, pretty much. But I mean, other than that, all his goals have been bangers.
Yeah, most of the other goals have been bangers. But I also this Villa team has surprised me. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't have them rated that highly, but I mean, to be tied 3rd with Arsenal, I mean, we're talking one of the best offenses in the league, period.
Mm-hmm.
And Villa, I mean, I'd say their attack's about an 8 out of 10. You know, it could be better. It doesn't have, like, you know, how you would say world-class attackers, but they get the job done and they're able to finish, which is really the important part. It's not who you have as long as they're finishing.
Mm-hmm.
But defensively, the solidarity that they have, it's actually quite impressive. It reminds me of West Ham last season, but a little bit more effective.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I mean, they honestly, I mean, I wouldn't know about world-class defenders, but I mean, they are.
I'm saying this like as an overall unit, like from the midfield, or even the wingers that come in a tad a bit. They look solid, bro. They look solid. They look like a contending team. They definitely look like a contending team. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they ended in 2nd, 3rd place.
Yeah, I think they could very well do so. But I mean, it's going to take a lot of work. I mean, it's going to be a long season ahead of them, and especially now that they're playing Champions League ball. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some injuries, some knocks, some major ones at that.
Yeah, we also have to see the depth of the bench players, see how they perform individually when they're in. But I mean, the system that Unai Emery has, I think it kind of fits any player that's just able to go out there, put balls out. Obviously, you know, have the basic fundamentals, you know, be technical with the ball, obviously. But other than basic technicality and fundamentals, being able to play with the ball, what his style requires is really just, you know, defend as a unit, be organized in the back. When we defend, we all defend. When we attack, we sort things out on who attacks, who stays back. And I think when Emery's, this might come to bite me back in the ass later, but I think he's kind of a genius. Like he's looking like a genius right now.
Yeah, no, he is, bro. I mean, in the last 2 matches, Aston Villa, they've been trailing. Against Everton, they trailed 2-0. They made a comeback. This game they're trailing 1-0 most of the match. Last 15 minutes they come back. So they're proving to themselves that against adversity they can come up against anyone, anything. So the big challenges are going to be the big guys, Liverpool, City, and they already lost the first one against Arsenal. So those are going to be the tough ones that they really need to prove to themselves and prove to the Premier League if they're going to be really serious about fighting for top four once again. So I guess we'll see what happens now on the topic of City and on the topic of Arsenal. We saw a big matchup go down. I mean, there was a little bit of speculation whether this game was going to be another boring 0-0 draw, how we saw in the last matchup in the Premier League. But this one actually kind of delivered on it. 2-2, 4 goals altogether, a lot of drama, a red card in there, last minute goal as well. So I don't know. Where do you want to start in this match? Because this is probably the biggest match of the weekend so far, besides the Derby, which we'll get into a little later into the episode. But what do you want to start off with this game? Because there's a
I
lot.
mean, let's just start off with Haaland, I think, getting his 100th goal.
Oh yeah, for
I
sure.
think that was his 100th goal. You know, bro, clap
In
it
the
up for that guy.
the same amount of time that Ronaldo got his 100 goals, exactly, he equals his tally. I think it was 105 games and 100 goals in 105 games.
I mean, and he barely got into the Prem. Obviously, Ronaldo was in Portugal and he was in Germany before this. But bro, that's insane. That's like what this is his third season in with City.
Mhm.
100 goals. I mean, that's averaging like 33.5 goals, like 33.3 goals a season. That's insane. That's a crazy tally. I mean, I need to look it up when the last time a person completed 100 goals in 3 seasons. I mean, and he still has the rest of the third season to go.
Yeah,
So he's gonna be well over 100 goals. But the finish, I mean, it's kind of, how would I say, surprising. I thought he would go around the keeper and he kind of just, I don't know
first
if
time.
he toe pokes it or he just kind of, just direct ball, bottom right corner. And the goalie's kind of has that late reaction because he's probably thinking, oh, he's probably gonna cross it as well. But I mean, it's a striker's finish. It's a decent finish, and it was enough to get them ahead.
Yeah, honestly, like I mean, we've been highlighting this for most of our podcasts that he's gonna put up some more record-breaking numbers this season. And I mean, so far, if he stays fit, bro, I mean, he can easily hit those 40 goals in this season so far. He hit 10 already in just what's 5 matches. So
Yeah,
it's just insane to really just to see it play out and then to talk about it, see everybody talking about it as well. I mean, we're seeing something very historical and
yeah.
groundbreaking, honestly.
I
Um,
mean, he's been heavily criticized for I mean, I know you've seen the memes, ghosting in big games.
mhm.
So I mean, that's got to be, at least in the moment, had to be very important for him.
Yeah, and it has to be a relief on him too, because I'm sure that he wants to show out in the big games as well, and he did. I mean, he
Yeah,
got the first goal in this game as well. Rodri's out, so that's a big blow for City.
De
I don't know
Bruyne.
exactly what happened. What even happened in that play? I know it was something with his knee, but like, what the fuck even happened, bro?
I honestly couldn't catch what happened. I think it's just maybe all the games that Rodgers played. It's like maybe I don't know what it is.
Catching up to him, or
It probably caught up to him, had that contact. I don't know, maybe a contact that he didn't feel later on, but I'm not sure. The thing is that Rodgers been playing a lot, bro. Like for
yeah,
the past since the 2022 Champions League, since that run. I mean, he, especially last season, playing for City, going deep in Champions League, on Premier League, playing the Cups, and then going to the Euro, coming back, and you're back in the Prem. I mean, it has
mhm.
to catch up to you at some point.
Yeah, the
But I mean,
intensity of both playing international tournaments, playing the Premier League. Yeah, I agree. It has to catch up at some point. And I feel like from the very first minute, like people were going at him, even like from the kickoff. I think Havertz gave him a little knock to the face, like from the very first like 10 seconds.
yeah, I mean, the thing is that with City, at least right now, they don't really have a replacement for Rodri.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that City's unprepared. It's that Rodri's one of the best sixes in the world,
Mm.
if not the best one. I think he's probably the best one right now. And I know a lot of people will agree with me. But
Oh yeah, he's a Ballon d'Oro contender for a reason.
my thought process is just this: going deeper into this Prem and Champions League run without Rodri, how good will City be?
Well, we have to see how long he's going to be out for. Because honestly,
Because
Kovacic was doing a good job. So like in the match itself, and then I mean he was Rodri was out injured for the first like 3-4 matches of the Prem. So and Kovacic was fulfilling that role to a T. And honestly, I wouldn't say better, but he was fulfilling. That's it. He was on par with what Rodri can do, and he was scoring as well. Remember that goal against Chelsea?
Chelsea. Yeah, but it's just how would I say? No disrespect to Kovacic, he's a great player. One of the better players in the Prem in his position. But it's just difficult to fill in Rodri's shoes,
Yeah,
in my
for
opinion.
sure, for sure. But I mean, we'll see how Kovacic fills in moving deeper into the Premier League. I don't even know how long Rodri's out for. I guess we'll see. Do you
I
know?
mean, no, I don't know anything, but to be taken off is has to be something. You get me?
Yeah, I know it's a knee injury, and that's all I pretty much know.
And then the knee is a sensitive part of the body, especially for a footballer.
Yeah, for sure. And then pretty much, I want to say almost right away, 22nd minute mark, Calafiori gets on his first start. He gets his first Arsenal goal, and honestly, it was a beautiful goal. Top bins, really not much that Ederson can really do about it. It was a well taken shot,
Yeah.
and it was all even from there, moving into later on into the game, pretty much. And then that second goal, who got that second goal?
It was who was it? It was what's his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. It was
Oh, it's Gabriel, no?
Gabriel. It
From a
was
corner? It was from a corner. Yeah, it was from a corner.
yeah, it was from a corner. It was like a header. He has like Walker's kind of like pushing at him. He runs around him, kind of does hits the ball with his part of his head in it. It goes
Yeah,
on.
in Ederson's little 6-yard box
Yeah,
too.
and
So
it goes. Which is
yeah,
something that I want to touch on because I know I touched on before that Ederson is not the best goalie in terms of saving ability and playing his area. And I think that kind of just shows him. Yes, I know it's difficult for him, but I mean, inside your box, that's kind of like I see how difficult it may be for him. I know you see how difficult it would be for him to get to that ball.
because there's a
But
bunch of players in the 6-yard box.
yeah, so
At least like 7-8 players in the box.
but I mean, I was watching this podcast. I forgot which keeper it was, but he played under Van der Sar at United for a bit, and he was saying that 6-yard box is yours. Like that 6-yard box is you. It's all you. You have to get there. If you touch the ball and they touch you, it's a foul. The ref is calling it, but you just need to skin the ball. Anything has to do with the ball, they're gonna call it in favor of you because you're the goalie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I have to agree. I'd like to see a better effort, but it kind of looks like he's distracted with all the movement, the ball coming in fast, and it's just I see the difficulty in it.
Basically.
Yeah, I see the difficulty in it, but I mean, you're a world class keeper. You have to be able to at least go for it, or at least get a finger on it, something.
Yeah, you definitely have to be more commanding inside your box, like shoving. A lot of keepers do that when there are people in the 6-yard box. They start literally shoving players out the box, even their own players.
Yeah,
That's what you have to do. You have to dominate at least in those 6 yards right there.
yeah, but nothing to take away from Gabriel. I mean, he jukes Kyle Walker. He goes around him and he gets to that ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was a practice. It probably was a practice play, but just the fact that they were able to execute it perfectly, it says something.
Yeah. So they went up 2-1, and then the controversy of, I guess, the match was the 2 yellow cards shown on Trossard. First one for the foul, and then the second one officially, it was confirmed that the second yellow card was for kicking the ball. And we already saw this happen like 2 games ago. And it's like Arsenal players do not understand, and I get it. It's like it's kind of an inconsistent, dumb rule because I mean, it happens everywhere in the world. Not everyone's getting booked for these type of plays, but in the Premier League, they're being specifically told to be more cautious, to be more aware with these kind of plays. And if you're already on a yellow card, whether it just happened right away or not, or it's all in the heat of the moment, you have to be more aware. You have to understand what you're playing, especially in the game that you're playing, and in the league that you're playing as well. So, I mean, from Trossard's perspective, I mean, I feel like, yeah, it might be a little unjust, but in the total law of the game, it was a correct call.
If we
And a lot
go,
of Arsenal fans might disagree with that, but it's by the rules, it's technically it's right.
if we go off the book, yeah,
Mhm.
Michael Oliver had the right to do it. And at first, I was thinking that's a harsh red because it is kind of harsh in terms of the how the game was moving. But then I see the replay, and first Trossard leads with his elbow, and I think it's okay. Maybe it's not a foul, and then he has the audacity to lead with his elbow, then kick the ball, and it's kind of just like at that point you're kind of asking for a booking.
Yeah, you're risking it a little
You're
too much.
risking a little bit more. It's like you don't care if you get booked again, or if I don't know what he was thinking. But if you commit a foul like that, at least in my opinion, you're playing slightly dirty. Maybe you're not playing all out dirty where you're throwing elbows, but you're leading with your elbow, which is it's fair. I think it's fair.
Yeah,
It's it's not the worst foul of all, but no booking, fine. But then you kick the ball and it's kind of just like you're on a yellow. You're on a yellow. The ref knows you're on a yellow, and you leave him no choice because I mean, what else can you do at that point?
yeah. I mean, like we already said, I mean, it's the rules, it's the law of the game, and it kind unfortunately it kind of conditions the rest of the game. It's a match where Arsenal were just basically pinned inside of their own 18-yard box because Man City did not let them breathe whatsoever. Arsenal were just kicking the ball as far as they can for as long as they can, holding on to dear life. Pep was stressed out as well. I mean, whatever hairs Pep had on his head, bro, they're fucking gone. And he was
Yeah.
kicking the seats, and I mean, it was a stressful game overall from a City perspective for Mikel Arteta as well. But defensively, I mean, if they didn't get scored on in the final minute, which we'll touch on, it would have been a defensive masterclass because they really held Man City. They held Man City out, bro. They barely were able to penetrate them. They had their moments where I mean, City could have been a little bit more clinical, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the final kick of the game, pretty much the corner. That's where Stones, that super sub. I mean, he draws the game, and it's. I mean, you could see the frustration on Arsenal's face, on all the players. They just break down, because they put it in so much effort, just trying to keep that score line 2-1. And then, I mean, yeah, you don't lose, which is still a win. I guess you consider it a win for Arteta. But when you had the game like a minute away from winning, I mean, I'm sure that shit's gotta hurt, bro.
Yeah. I mean, something I've always said about, not always said, but of this recent Arsenal team is that they beat themselves. They do it to themselves. They have everything to win. They have everything to show for a win. I mean, last season they just didn't maintain the same consistency that they had, and they were able to do it. City was able to do it with the depth that they've created these past years. And this season, up to one, they get conditioned with the red card, yes, but they were up for a good amount of the match, and I was actually thinking, oh, they're gonna be able to close it out because I'm seeing 95th minute, 96th minute, it's still up 2-1.
Yeah.
But then I do notice looking back into the final minutes of that match, there's 10 players inside of the box, and I know it's a corner kick, but I always think once you have your whole team inside of the box, you kind of deserve to get scored on because you're really just shooting for one thing, and maybe it'll sound harsh, maybe it'll sound inconsistent with what I've said before, but it is difficult to have your whole team in the box and expect something else to happen. And I know
Yeah, eventually the
you
goals
can't
gotta
take
come.
I know you
Eventually.
can't yeah, I know you can't take the ball away from City, and I know even with 10 men you'll have less of an opportunity to be able to do that. But if you have 10 men and City are out possessing and out creating these opportunities, which they were, they're gonna score. It's kind of just a matter of time. And I was thinking it's a matter of time until I was thinking, 96 minute, and I'm just thinking, maybe they'll be able to get it done. Maybe
Mhm.
Arsenal goes out of the Etihad with the win,
Dude, it
and
would have been their first win against City at the Etihad since 2015, so
and I
it would
mean,
have been great.
and then they closed out at Arsenal Stadium.
Mhm.
It'd be the perfect for them because they're the team with the less pressure now. Now they go into every game, let's just go win it, play out, and maintain the consistency. Obviously, and City would have to go into the Arsenal Stadium and have to actually get a result.
Yeah, for sure.
And I
But
mean, the Emirates is a difficult stadium to play in.
yeah, I agree for sure. But I mean, it just wasn't enough for Arsenal. I mean, like I said, it was just pure and utter just disappointment in the last minute. And I'm sure if you're a fan, you probably feels like a loss, even though it was a draw. You know, you were just seconds away from getting that win, which would have been important and detrimental to at least the majority of the season. These games against City or against Liverpool, they're so important to get wins out of them, not just a result, but wins especially. Just wasn't enough. You know, they needed that last final few seconds. They just couldn't hold on to it. And yeah, I mean, that kind of wraps up most Premier League talk. Let's move over to Spain, where things are pretty straightforward, to be honest. Madrid in second place, they get their win against Espanyol. Not much went down in this game. First half specifically, the main problem with Madrid right now is that in the first half, for whatever reason, they just cannot score for dear life. They've gone 7 games in a row without scoring in the first half. So I don't know what happens within those 45 minutes, those first 45, but I think they definitely need to figure themselves out in that regard. Second half, everything opens up because I think teams understand that okay, this Madrid team is actually not that scary to play against. Espanyol do go up first. They give Madrid a little scare, but right away, Carvajal, Rodrigo, they spark a comeback for Real Madrid. Rodrigo, who's been completely undervalued this season, he has now 2 goals, 2 assists in the season so far. Vinny gets his goal as well. Mbappe gets an assist into Vinny. Um, Vinny, who was on the bench for whatever reason, and Rodrigo, I think, was playing from the left hand side with Guler on the right hand side, if I'm not mistaken. I guess the main talking point of this match was that penalty. I don't know if you've seen the highlight of that penalty committed against Endrick, but so he wins the ball on the far right hand side corner. He keeps it in play. He's going down the line, and then he's being dragged by the defender from way outside, like the penalty box, way probably 5-10 yards outside the penalty box. Then the defender's holding him up until he gets to the line of the penalty box. Then Endrick falls inside, and the referee blows for a penalty. Now, according to the laws, from what I've seen so far, technically that is a penalty. But I don't know, bro. I thought that was very very suspicious, a little harsh to be honest. Not like it was going to do anything better for Espanyol. It was already the 4-1 when Mbappe converted. But I mean, I don't know. That shit was just so iffy for me.
My thought process is did the foul lead inside the box or did Andrew just end up falling inside the box?
From what I saw, Endrick falls inside of the box.
That's what I was
The
thinking.
the defender lets go right before the line,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So how would that be a penalty in my
right?
opinion? You'd have to really line it up with the line and see if he's tugging him at least on the line because the line is part of the inside of the box. And they didn't, it's kind of a penalty. They show him getting pulled and throwing himself inside the box. I'm just thinking, well, is the foul committed on at least on the line, or does he fall inside of the box?
Yeah,
Because let's not forget, it's not where the player falls, it's where the foul is committed.
yeah, exactly.
And if the foul is committed outside of the box, and I think, hey, like, what are you doing?
The foul
And
outside the box, yeah,
I mean, and what I've seen from refs, not even in La Liga, but in the Prem as well, for most of the time, at least in the past seasons, when there's a foul and it leads inside of the box, they usually call it outside on the edge of the box,
hmm
which is, I mean, I thought that was a regular occurrence. This is the first time I've seen that a foul that starts outside of the box where the player falls inside would be called as a penalty.
yeah, me too. I mean, from what I understand and from what I've seen throughout, I guess, my lifetime is when an opportunity like that happens or when something like that happens, yeah, it typically is just marked as a foul because it's where the foul begins.
Yeah, and maybe the rule says if it leads inside of the box, I understand that,
hmm
but
I
it's
don't know.
just
It's such an iffy play.
it feels like the refs, at least in La Liga, use a different unspoken rule between teams versus when they ref around Madrid. If that makes sense, it's like if it's any of the team and that happens, I feel like they call it outside of the box. But
Yeah,
because it's Madrid, I feel like they call it inside of the box because of the just the name that Real Madrid holds, the name that they have on their bag, and I mean obviously the players that they have. So
yeah.
maybe it's that, but it definitely feels like they ref them differently than other teams.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, what Madrid does a lot is the whole like they like to slander referees, whether like if there's a game where a referee commits a big mistake, there's I think on Real Madrid TV they have like a show or like a segment on a show where they slander the referee that blew whatever game the mistake was committed, and then they just start like talking badly about him. So I don't know if that kind of also conditions referees, like they don't want to be talked about in a negative manner on media. That could very well be an issue as well. But yeah, I agree with you. I think when you're blowing against Real Madrid or when you're officiating a game for Real Madrid, I mean, just the fact that it's Real Madrid, I mean, you kind of play with like a chip on your shoulder almost, or you're officiating with a chip on your shoulder. So you have to be a little bit more careful with the things that you do, and you don't want to stand out. You don't want to be the main protagonist as well. But I don't know, just some iffy shit to be honest in that match. But Real Madrid deservedly win, regardless if that was a penalty or not. I mean, they would have won the game 3-1. So
But
good.
I don't know if you remember this from last season, but the ref that whistled right before the goal. I don't know if you remember that goal. It was like a cross. He whistled right before the cross, and
Against
well before
Valencia, right?
right before well before the ball's put into the net. I mean, he was slandering around Madrid TV. He was
Hmm.
saying that they were saying that he was an idiot because who stops the ball in the final third of play?
In midair.
That, but let's not forget that the ref is the only keeper of the time. Like he's when he calls the game, it's game. But La Liga's response to this was, I mean, he set out for a few games, for a few match days. So I mean, it's what Real Madrid holds, what they represent, and the power that they have over the league for
Yeah,
sure.
it's kind of it's unfortunate, but
And
it's
let's not forget that the president of La Liga is openly a Real Madrid fan.
yeah, that is very true. It's unfortunate, but it's what's happening in La Liga and in Spain overall. But I mean, so far, I guess it's not a big deal because I mean, for Barcelona specifically, I mean, they're clear of everybody in the league. They have like at least a 3 point difference, I believe. They're on 18 points while missing a lot of key players. In this match against Villareal, they win 5-1, and there was a lot of talk about well, they lost against Monaco. How will they fare against the Villarreal team who have been doing extremely decent so far in the season? I don't think they've lost a match so far, Villarreal specifically. But overall, I mean, there was a lot of rotations from Hansi Flick, a lot of different players getting the start as well. Um, and I mean, from a Barcelona perspective, it's a good game overall. There was moments of kind of like worry where Villarreal could have came back, but I mean Lewandowski gets on the score sheet, Rafinha gets on the score sheet, Yamal gets 2 assists, and I mean everything is fine in Barcelona land right now, I guess you could say. But the main talking point in this match was Ter Stegen's injury. A lot of people, including myself, were talking negatively about Ter Stegen midweek because of the accident that he committed, and then he comes out with this major injury, something with his knee as well. It was when he went up in the inside of his 6 yard box to try to grab a ball from a corner kick, I believe, and then he lands incorrectly, and I'm not sure if his knee popped or I don't know exactly what happened, but as soon as he fell, I mean, you can hear the scream from the microphone that's like nearby the sideline, and then right away, people are asking for subs and telling the medical team to come running in. The ref blows the whistle, and I mean, alarms go off. And then, yeah, I mean, basically, that's Ter Stegen's season overall. I think he's going to be out for at least like 7 to 8 months. So it's unfortunate. Um, I know there's probably people that were wishing on this, but at the end of the day, these are human beings. You don't want to wish any sort of negativity on a player specifically, especially a legendary player at that, like Ter Stegen. So, I mean, just wishing him a speedy recovery, I guess. Anything that you want to add regarding Barcelona? I mean, they pretty much did what they wanted to with Villarreal.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered it. There's not much I can say about a 5-1. You know, it was complete in total domination. But I do want to add, players like Ter Stegen, yes, they commit mistakes. Obviously, I want to throw Trossard in there because he did commit a mistake.
Mhm.
But just the the overall ignorance of these fan bases, where they're threatening them online. This whole ignorance is I mean, it's terrible. Like
It's
they
sad,
don't
bro.
deserve
It's
that
sad. I mean, it
because
came to a point where Ter Stegen had to disable his own comments.
yeah, and also the average person won't be able to even take half of the pressure which is applied playing in these games. Playing Barcelona, Monaco, especially in Arsenal versus Man City at the Etihad.
Hmm.
It's there's adrenaline running high. There's I mean, obviously the other team plays as well. They play in an influence, they're pressuring you a lot. There's so many factors that the average person won't be able to perform at one of their best abilities, and you can't blame these players for making mistakes. They're at the end of
Yeah,
the day, they're human beings.
the abuse that a lot of players suffer is just it's so unfair because it's coming from people like I don't want to say like you and me, but are in similar situations where like, okay, bro, you're not gonna go pro. Like you have no reason to be talking like that to another human being. Like
Yeah.
it's straight up just it's repulsive, it's vile, and I mean you shouldn't be talking like that. Especially knowing that like if you were face to face with that person, you probably wouldn't say anything.
Not only
Uh,
that, you don't
it's
you don't
something
have
that's
the
just
right to say
recurring.
anything.
Yeah, you don't have the right to, and I hate that it's so. It's just so recurring in this sport. I mean, the same thing happened just about a week ago with Brennan Johnson from Tottenham. I think he disabled his old Instagram because he was getting a bunch of abuse on social media as well after the North London Derby and his performance. So I mean, it's sad to see. I mean, a lot of these players they just want to play ball. They're some of the lucky few that made it out. They made it to professional level, and I mean, there's a reason that they're there and that we're not. You know,
Yeah.
so we definitely don't deserve that for sure.
Now I'm not saying don't critique these players.
Yeah,
You can critique them. You can say, hey, he could have done more. He's being lazy or this or that. But don't threaten them. Don't threaten their families. Don't say this and that. Don't tell them to that if you see them, you're gonna kill them because they can't pass the ball 6 yards in one of the most high pressure, sports in this world. Just you have to be able to understand, they're human beings too. If you're a true fan, you'd be like, hey, you'll get it next time. And if it's a recurring instance, then yeah, just be, we need to sell this player, but don't judge them on their ability to play ball. Don't judge them as a human being if you're just watching them play. Because that's all you know them as soccer players. You don't know them as a human. You don't know how they are on the day to day.
yeah. It's things that it's just unfortunate in the sport, and I hope that it can be corrected moving forward. But I do think it's good to address because I mean it's completely unfair to a lot of players. I think just wrapping up things with Villareal and Barcelona. I mean, I don't know what else I can say about this kid. I'm gonna glaze every time I can, bro. I'm sorry, but Yamal 2 assists. The last one was just I think a beauty, bro. Trivella from like 30 yards out on the right hand side of the field for the second assist of the game, his sixth of the season overall. I mean, I think he already surpassed Kevin De Bruyne in assists in 2024, something like that, or
Kevin's,
goal.
in- Kevin's injured though, so
I mean, sure,
I
bro,
already show for right now.
whatever you want to say, bro. But Yamal, I mean, I'm already saying he's better than Kevin De Bruyne, bro.
Bro, Kevin De Bruyne would have played versus Arsenal. Then maybe
No,
I
I'm just
say that.
playing. I'm just playing. But the fact that this kid is in the same talking points as Kevin De Bruyne at 17 years old is just is still just mind blowing to me, bro. And a lot of these records that he's expected to break and the consistency that he's built just in the beginning of the season, but for the past like months, it's just I mean, I've never seen anything like it, and I'm gonna continue saying it, but yeah, I just had to address that real quick.
Yeah,
Um,
he's class. I've seen a lot of memes about him. Give him the more assists than the Bruyne d'Or. Give him the more assists than the Bruyne trophy. I actually was
we'll see.
I
We'll
may
see.
have reposted that one, but anyways, I mean he's class. He's one of the best wingers out there. He does everything a winger's supposed to do. Assist, assist when you can, and score when it's needed,
Mhm.
and that's what he's been showing these past few weeks.
I just think the fact that he's carrying Barcelona at 17 years old. I mean, not even Messi did that at 17 years old, and
Carrying their offense because let's be honest, Barcelona's midfield holds their end on possession, but yeah,
yeah,
he's carrying their offense.
their offense, yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's just insane. I just wanted to throw that in. Um, let's go to Rayo Vallecano versus Atlético de Madrid. Basically a whole lot of nothing in this match, to be honest. Rayo go up first. Griezmann didn't start. Correa didn't start. I think we saw Julian Alvarez and Sorloth up top. Gallagher gets his goal as well, second goal of the season. So it's good that he has some influence in attack, because I know at Chelsea he was very up and down, not very much providing an assist and goals. But the fact that he has two goals, I think it's almost back to back games, if I'm not mistaken. I love that influential role that he has up front as well. Um, and talking about Rayo real quick, I love that it's so difficult for teams, especially the big teams in La Liga, to face against them, because they did very well against Barcelona. I mean, almost drew against them. It was a 2-1 game, very tight. Drew with Atleti. I think they beat La Real Sociedad as well. So they are definitely a team that can maybe sneak their way into like Europa League or Conference League. So definitely a team to look out for moving forward into the later half of the season. Um, and then for Atleti, I mean, it's just another draw against a team that on paper you should be beating, because I think they drew against Espanyol 0-0, and then over here same thing against Rayo Vallecano. I mean, on paper you're the better team. You have world class players in every line of your starting 11. So I don't know what the hell is going on with Diego Simeone or with the players. Is it the players that are not stepping up? Is it the Diego Simeone that's not flexible enough tactically? In your opinion, what can you provide, bro?
I just don't think he has the defense that he once had. Because let's be honest, one goal was able to
Be enough.
one Atletico no one goal a game was able to, at least for the most part, one goal a game was able to win Atletico Madrid a championship back in, what was it, 2014, 2013,
2013, 2014, yeah.
2013, 2014. And now it's like they need to score multiple goals to even be in the game. If you understand me. But now let's just look at the table real quick. Athletic Club is now in third,
Mhm.
right? Which I think is deserved. I'm not saying it's not. On paper, if we're looking at what Athletic Madrid spent this transfer window, what Athletic Club has built in this past few seasons, it's I still think Atletico Madrid should be above them on terms of paper, right? On
Yeah,
paper.
for sure.
And I mean, God forbid Atletico Madrid loses that Villareal game, because I mean we could be talking about Atletico Madrid being in a fifth position, which is no longer Champions League.
I mean, at this point, you said against Villarreal. I think they already played them.
No, but I'm saying like on the second,
Oh,
because
the second.
they're only they're only a point away from them, at least right now. And if Atletico Madrid keeps playing this way and Villarreal keeps playing the way they do, because Villarreal is not a bad team.
No,
They
they're
they're,
heavily
they're
attacked.
fairly decent, and I mean, I just I just think that they tied 2-2 last game. If Atletico Madrid drops a few of their class player that they have, and Villarreal maintains on the way that they've been, I feel like Villarreal could steal that second leg victory, and we'll
Sneak
see what
in.
it means. We'll see what it means later on. But at least right now they're in a difficult position. They're in fourth, 1 point away from being out of Champions League contention. Obviously, it's early, but I mean we'll see what happens.
Yeah, still very early to call anything, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, anything can happen. That's pretty much all we can say, is anything can happen at this point. Barcelona, top of the league. They're clear of everybody right now. Real Madrid right under, and then Bilbao and Atletico Madrid. Real quickly, I want to throw in the Derby de la Madonnina, Inter Milan versus AC Milan, because this was the biggest match probably of the weekend culturally. I guess if we're not talking about Boca and River, I don't know how they did, but we don't really touch on South America ball that much. But Inter versus AC Milan, I know we kind of talked about it midweek, because this was a big game for AC Milan. Because if they didn't win this match, Paulo Fonseca probably would have been gone. But he's not gone because they won the match. They got a 2-1 win, a result that I think it's deserved for AC Milan, given that they had the better chances. But Inter Milan were very threatening. That's why I think this game was my favorite one of the weekend, and why I want to throw it in here, because if it wasn't an entertaining matchup, I wouldn't be talking about it. But the
Yeah,
fact that there was threatening chances on both sides. Pulisic opens up the scoring in the very first moments of the match, very similar to the game against Liverpool, where and they score early on, and then that fire just kind of quickly dies down, fades away. Inter Milan step up, they get their goal. Di Marco with a beautiful left-footed shot from outside, or like from kind of like inside of the box, and it was almost all Inter Milan up until like later in the second half when AC Milan on quick transitions on the counter. They had at least like 3 or 4 chances, but they were not consistent up front up until I think it was a set piece. And one of the star defenders, Gavia, in the 88th minute, I think he's also I think he went through the academy. He was an AC Milan fan from when he was a kid, and he gets the game winner for AC Milan. I think it's a beautiful narrative to really talk about, to see play out as well, because he was the star defensively for AC Milan. And I mean, the header was just pinpoint perfection. I mean, the way he turns his head, it's almost like top left hand corner. Summer just looks at it, pretty much knows that he can't do anything about it, and he wins the derby for Milan. And I mean, he pretty much saved Paulo Fonseca's job as well. It's the first time in 7 matches that they avoided defeat in the Derby de la Madonnina. So they definitely needed that, because Inter Milan they've been very, very consistent in the derbies. They've been pretty dominant in the derbies overall. So anything you want to add on into add from this game?
Just the fact that this was at Inter Milan Stadium, right?
Yeah, well, I think they play in the same stadium, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh well, then in that case, I mean that's still that's still important then. But what I was thinking throughout the game was, Pulisic scores early, Inter Milan tie it, and I'm just like is Inter Milan about to run away with this? But I mean, AC Milan showed defensive solidarity, and they were able to, hold off Inter Milan and get that goal at the end. But was this how would I say? Was this like a classical boost? Like, was it because there's been years where Real Madrid's terrible or Barca's having a bad season, and they won the Clasico off of pride alone. So it just comes into that conversation. Is AC Milan now a contender again, or was it just a prideful match where they just played their hearts out?
Because it could very well be that where it's just a match, like a fluke match, basically, where AC Milan gets the win, but then when they play against Venezia, I mean, I think they beat Venezia, but they play against Genoa or against Monza, they draw, and draw points. In the games where they're heavily favorites, they don't get the results that they need. Versus the games where they consider underdogs, where everyone, even myself included, I didn't have them winning this match. I thought Paulo Fonseca was going to get fired this weekend. I even said that in the last podcast. I was like, yeah, for sure. By the weekend, he's gonna be fired.
Yeah,
But
I mean Napoli looks good. Torino looks fairly decent. I think they're leading right now. I don't know how long that's gonna last, but it's just it comes to that conversation where, and if it was a different team, if it wasn't Inter Milan, how would AC Milan have performed if it wasn't a Classic or a Derby? It
yeah,
just comes into that conversation, and it goes into. I mean, well, obviously we'll find out later on. I hope AC Milan's back. I know they're a historic club. I like I like seeing them in Champions League football. I like hearing that name in there in those conversations. And I mean, I hope they're back, but we'll wait and see. I don't want to say too much.
yeah, because I mean, like already stated, it could be a fluke game, but it could also be a game where it just completely turns their season around. So,
Yeah,
it is a very early. It's very early to tell, but we'll definitely keep in touch with Serie A and AC Milan and Inter Milan moving later into the season as well. Now, finishing off with the best league of all, bro, Liga MX. Where else? Of course, Necaxa, America, Cruz Azul, Chivas, Pumas, Cholos,
biggest
Santos.
teams in the world.
Biggest teams. We only talk big games here. Only talk about the biggest teams in the world. And yeah, that's what went down. Necaxa versus America. Let's start there. A team who you stated that they defended very well, and I agree. Overall, throughout the whole match, they were pretty disciplined, and they knew what they were playing. They were playing direct balls over the top, just trying to get into like the final third in America's area, and they were always threatening every time they got near America's box. because America were just they lacked any sort of idea besides the last goal in the very last minute. There was really no threatening opportunities from America. It's like I mean, they're the most creative players. Zende has Diego Valdez, Jonathan Dos Santos, if you want to throw them in there. They are not in peak form right now. I don't know if it's because some of them are coming back from injury, or there's just too much pressure, or a little bit of campeonitis, or a mix of all three. America has just been pretty poor. They drop points. Overall, they drop points in this match. They do draw 1-1, but Necaxa, honestly, I feel like they deserve that win. If it wasn't for like those, well, I think they gave like 9 minutes extra, 8-9 minutes extra.
Yeah.
I think they could have escaped with a victory for sure. And what a way to get a victory too. That goal from Palavecino was class, honestly.
Yeah, I want to touch on that because to the end, the commentators will never give a player that scores on America props. The whole conversation was, what could Malagon have done better? Was Malagon too much to the left side? And I mean, if the goalie is out of his position, that's on him. Because at the end of the day, the forwards, in this case, the midfielder's job is to, score a mid-range shot, which is what he aimed for and he got. Now, I do kind of see how Malagon is out of position, but I don't think that should be the overall conversation, because it's a decent strike. It's pretty hard. It's quick. I wasn't expecting it. I know Malagon wasn't expecting it, but I mean, hey, it's a decent goal, but it's just it's terrible to see Tudene and Vix just talk down on a goal. Like, how's it his fault that Malagon's out of position? And
Yeah,
they're making the goal about Palavecino. They make it about Malagon being out of position, which it's unfair to the player. But something else I want to touch on is Emilio Lara, bro. He looked a little bit different. Maybe it was La Ley del Ex, feeling a little bit of pride playing his ex club. But hey, he props to him. He got an assist. He defended with his heart, and he looked a little different, bro. I honestly thought he might have been one of the more influential wingbacks of this match.
yeah. I mean, honestly, it could have been La Ley del Ex, bro, because defensively in general, Necaxa they were solid. They were all over the place. America they could not break through whatsoever. It took a little bit of luck. Brian Rodriguez with some incredible skill moves inside of the box. They didn't want to drop him. He gets through, gets that shot off, and then Henry Martin, typical poacher's goal. I mean, falls right to his lap. He finishes it. Of course, he has to. Gets his 5th goal of the season, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, the main thing is just that the lack of idea that America have is just so concerning. They're still out of play-in spots. I think they're like fairly like mid-table, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So
they're barely in play-in. They're in 10th.
Yeah,
and the advantage that they kind of have is that San Luis is in 7th with the game with 10 games, and America only has 9, so that's kind of an advantage.
Mm.
So
there's like what 7-8 games left to play.
So for America, there's 7 games left as well for Chivas, Pumas, Toluca, Cruz Azul, and Tigres. The case for Monterrey and Atlético San Luis is that there's only 6 games left. So they're definitely going to fall a few positions by the end of the season.
Yeah. So I mean, America definitely have to step it up, especially games like these where they get tricky. They have to be clinical and they have to be more creative, because it's not going to be enough if they sneak into Liga. It's not going to be enough against some of these teams that are playing exceptional football, to be honest. But yeah, congrats to Necaxa. I mean, they played an amazing match overall. They didn't deserve to lose at all, in my opinion. But let's go to a game in El DF, Cruz Azul versus Chivas. This is probably the game of the weekend because it means 2 of the biggest teams in Mexico, and then also, I mean, 2 teams that are probably going to be fighting for the Liga MX title towards the end of the season. Cruz Azul playing the best football that they probably played in a while, and then Chivas, who, I mean, they gave them a run for their money, and they honestly outplayed Cruz Azul for most of the match in this new style that I know you wanted to highlight, that 3-5-2. Gago has not played that whatsoever this season, and it's definitely a switch that was needed because, I mean, against America, they got exposed, at least in that one play. And, I mean, if you want to touch on it, that's all. The floor's all yours, bro.
I mean, it's just how would I say? I know. There's been criticisms of the result. 1-0. Obviously, Chivas isn't a fan base that takes losing lightly. But in my opinion, it's the first time he uses this positioning. It worked well in terms of possessing the ball for long spells of time, and it worked well in creating opportunities because they did both. The only thing that was the biggest factor, obviously, into this, they're not able to finish.
Yeah, they lack that punch. Unfortunately, they just do. Armiga, he's still young. Armando is a young player, 21 years old. He's gonna need at least like another full season in Liga MX to maybe showcase a little bit more of what he's capable of. Because we know he can score. He has scored already, but he just needs just a little bit more time, more games, more experience that comes with time.
And I mean,
Chicharito's not, and there's no. I don't know when he's gonna come back.
yeah, I hope he when he comes back, he comes in as a last 10 minutes, last 15 minutes, not that big of an impact type player. But something I also want to highlight is that Chivas goes into Cruz Azul Stadium and is able to take the ball away from them. Which is, Chivas goes into any stadium and they're able to take the ball away from them. That's not the problem. But once Chivas finishes this, how would I say? Once they fix this finishing problem, I mean, they're looking scary. It could be next season or the season after that one, but I hope I hope it's soon. I hope they go in the market for a decent striker. I know Ormiga is fairly decent. He creates a lot of opportunities. Yes, he's not able to finish all of them, but let's also give this formation time. By the end of the season, we'll see how it worked. The 3-5-2 is something I liked, and to judge it off that it didn't work on against Cruz Azul is unfair because it's the first time they try this, and just the caliber of team that Cruz Azul is at least right now.
Yeah, they're the best team in the league. They play the best football. I mean, whether if they deserve to win or not, that's a different story. But I mean, you got to put the goal, or you got to put the opportunities away. That's what Cruz Azul did.
What I liked and what surprised me is so Chivas, when they attack, they have 5 midfielders. When they defend, they have 5 defenders, which I like, and it showed how well they defend of how Rotondi was drowned out most of this game. Him being their most dangerous, mid range shooter, and he was even getting inside the box and in some opportunities since spaces were being created. But I mean, Chivas defends very well. They attack decently. They just can't finish. So we'll see. We'll see where that leads them. But I say give this formation a chance. It's the first time they use it, and they used it against a quality squad. I know versus these mid-table teams that they're going to be playing in a few weeks is probably gonna work. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing on a Chivas standpoint. They just need that killer. They need that final touch to really help them. I mean, if they want to aspire to winning a Liga MX, they need that killer up top. Let's go to Pumas versus Cholos. This was a match that just went down, maybe not a couple hours ago, pretty much. A game that ended in a was it 1-1 draw? No, 1-0 win for Pumas. My bad.
When they win.
Cholos were inconsistently consistent. At home, they do well. Away from home, as our friend from That's Footy Show mentioned, they're just a mess away from home, and that's exactly what they were today. They were a mess. Osorio had made 9 changes from that team that lost 4-0 to Toluca just last week, which was kind of surprising. Basically, using all his subs. Even Chuy Corona played at 43 years old. I thought that was insane to see just because I didn't expect Chuy Corona in 2024 to be starting for Cholos, firstly, and then to put up a game that he did.
Yeah, man of the match.
Yeah, he was the man of the match, bro. I think he made like 9 saves total in that match. He was literally everywhere. He was like an octopus in that match. While some of the saves were routine saves, so nothing that was out of the ordinary. But I mean, you have to be there as a goalkeeper. Positionally, he was correct. He was in the right spots, and that all comes with experience. I mean, at 43 years old, he's been there, done that in Liga MX internationally as well. Uh, so I honestly, that was the biggest takeaway from this match. Yeah, while Pumas won the game in the dying moments of the game, and they do get lifted to fifth place momentarily, I think the biggest takeaway was Chuy Corona. I think that was my favorite talking point from this match. Chuy Corona getting that man of the match performance. Yeah, I mean, anything else that you want to throw in there?
I just Pumas fans don't panic. These next two matches they're at home. You'll probably take the W. It's so be patient with this team. The good thing is that you guys have America at home and Tigres at home, so two difficult matches at home. And just be patient. You guys are in ninth place. You beat America, you're going up to eighth, and America's going down to probably 12th, 13th. You beat Tigres, you're in. You're locked in. That's it. And just be patient with this team. Osorio he beat Germany. You think he can get you guys into a quarterfinal? He's gonna be able to do it.
Are you talking about Cholos or Pumas?
Cholo, sorry.
Oh, whole time I thought you were talking about Pumas, bro.
No, it's I was saying Cholos fans. So
Oh,
yeah, so don't panic. You guys have America at home, Tigres at home. You beat those two teams, you're practically in. And yeah, I mean, Juan Carlos Osorio can definitely get you guys into the quarterfinals. So just be patient.
now on Chuy Corona's standpoint, bro. I mean, what can you say about him? 43 years old, man of the match performance, 8 saves, 9 saves in the match. I mean, bro, I don't even know how else can I stress this? It was incredible to see.
It was definitely not a surprise, but I knew he was gonna be good because he has that experience. I just didn't think he had it in him to be this good again. Eight, like 7, 8 years later, out of his prime. And I mean, looking back at it now, that's insane. It's insane what he was able to do. That's all I could pretty much say. I mean, we're probably next convocatoria is probably Memo Chan Chuy Corona at the goalkeeper position.
And then lastly, let's move to the last game of the jornada: Santos versus Toluca. Same thing with Cholos, very similar to Cholos Toluca. Away from home, they're just a mess. They were kind of the better team in the first half. They had the better opportunities. Did not put Santos away when they had to put them away, and then Santos they come up on top. What surprised me a lot was the lack of fans in Santos Stadium. There was almost just a few thousand fans, if that. Um, Overall, I think this was a much needed victory for Santos. They had a heavy loss against Monterrey last week. It had been almost a year since Santos had last beat Toluca since the Apertura in November last year. So Santos definitely needed this. Echeverria, I think, was his goal, chipping Thiago Volpi. I think that shit took a lot of balls. That second goal was just it was a touch of class from Echeverria on that left hand side. Still a young player to chip Thiago Volpi, an experienced veteran at that, was just completely disrespectful. And Toluca, on the other hand, they just continue to suffer. They shoot themselves in the foot. They lack that consistency, which you really need if you want to win the Liga. But I guess we'll see what happens moving forward. Santos 2-0 beats Toluca, deservedly so. Anything that you want to touch on this match before we kind of wrap things up?
I mean, I've said it before. Toluca away is. I mean, they're practically Mazatlan, bro. Their best results have been a tie at Chivas Stadium, which is not easy, and a tie at Cruz Azul, which is not easy as well. And I mean, other than that, their only one is versus Monterrey, which is fairly decent. But then they go on to tie Pachuca in a game that seemed resolved, and now they go on to lose to Santos in a game that, on paper, was Toluca leaving with 3 points and being just Toluca being able to win. I don't know, something, at least tie. But it's just, I mean, I said it before, playing Toluca playing away isn't as good as when they're at home. They definitely play different. Their mentality is different.
Yeah.
Just overall as a team, they look different. Now touching on to Santos, having one of their another poor season, but it's obviously that has contributed to the low fans being there, low amount of fans. But it's sad because Santos is a historic team. I know me and you grew up watching Santos being in that quarterfinal, semifinal. I know one year I think they beat Ronaldinho in the final,
Yeah,
and
they were constantly always fighting for the yes spots. The
yeah,
last championship was what, in 2018, the last time they won?
2018. It may have been. It may have been. I'm not sure. I have
Not
to look it
exactly,
up.
but
But yeah, I mean they're a historic club in Mexico, and it's sad to see them like this. But obviously with how good the big clubs are now, with how I mean it's practically a big six now.
yeah,
With
it's a big
with
gap, the big
it,
teams.
there's a big gap since removing the removal of Ascenso y Descenso or relegation. So it's difficult for this mid tier clubs to get into that position. But
Yeah, I completely agree.
we'll see how it works out. We'll see what happens with Santos. Maybe this is a big boost for them. You know, beating Toluca is still a top five club, at least right now on the table. So I mean, we'll see how that happens.
Yeah, definitely a lot can happen. I mean, there's still what, between 7, 8 games to play for. Um, and yeah, we'll keep you guys updated with the table in Liga MX, the best league in the world. That's pretty much all our wrap on everything that happened this weekend. Make sure you guys subscribe, follow. I know this podcast was a little long, so I appreciate anyone that stuck through to the end. Tomas, I appreciate you for hopping on. And sorry, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe, follow, like, all that good stuff. Support your small creators because together we're going to make it big. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.